The pre-season is over. 2 weeks today, the teams will hit the track in Melbourne for the first time in an official capacity. But where do we stand? 6 days of testing in Bahrain, a 5-day shakedown in Barcelona before that. All the teams seem to agree there are 2 at the top of the pecking order, but no one really seems to know who is the favourite. Mercedes and Ferrari. Those are the 2 teams on everyone's tongues. Some say Mercedes are better in other conditions, but it was Charles Leclerc today dominating the timesheets. Was it a glory run? Are there other factors in play? Who are the real favourites when we go to Australia? This week is the final test ahead of the 2026 season opener, and yet more positivity surrounding Ferrari, yet more upgrades they're bringing to their car this week, in addition to confirmation that they were indeed using the new Shell biofuel in their very successful first Bahrain test just a few days ago. Lots of questions surrounding all the teams as to what fuels they're really running their engines on. We believe in Barcelona, largely a hybrid 2025 version, but now Ferrari's solid performance, and it's only going to get better according to rumours, is being run as we will see things in Melbourne.
We're going to be talking about a key decision that's been made on Ferrari as testing in 2026 comes to a close.
Ferrari just did something in Bahrain that nobody saw coming. 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton. The biggest signing in Formula One history. The most hyped driver transfer of all time. And yet, after 3 days of pre-season testing, his best lap of the entire week was a 1-minute 33.408. His teammate, Charles Leclerc, 1 minute 31.992 seconds. That's almost 1.5 seconds faster. And Leclerc didn't just beat Hamilton. He beat Lando Norris, the reigning world champion. He beat Max Verstappen. He beat George Russell. He beat everyone. Ferrari are back, and the 2026 season hasn't even started yet. Before we get into Leclerc's insane lap, let's set the stage. This was day 3, the final day of the second pre-season test in Bahrain. 2 tests, 3 days each, and this was it. The last look any team gets at their rivals before the season-opening Australian Grand Prix on March 6th to 8th. Ferrari made an interesting call going into Friday. They put Leclerc in the car for the entire day, all day, both sessions. That means 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton, the man Ferrari paid a fortune to sign, sat in the garage and watched. Now, was that a statement? Was it strategic? We'll get to that. But here's what matters. Leclerc responded with the drive of pre-season testing. Meanwhile, there were a few notable situations playing out across the paddock. Aston Martin, absolute nightmare. Lance Stroll was supposed to be in the car all day. He completed just 6 laps, 0 timed laps. Because of a battery issue linked to Fernando Alonso's running the day before, Honda had almost no power unit parts left. A total disaster. Mercedes had their own morning drama when rookie Kimi Antonelli stopped on track with a pneumatic issue, losing over 2.5 hours while the team changed the power unit. George Russell had to pick up the slack in the afternoon. And McLaren, their reigning world champion Lando Norris didn't even emerge for the afternoon session until halfway through. McLaren were doing work on the MCL40 after Oscar Piastri had driven in the morning, so the chaos was real. But through all of it, Ferrari were just quietly cooking. Let's talk about the lap, the one that sent shockwaves through the entire paddock. Charles Leclerc, Ferrari SF26, C4 compound tyres, 1 minute, 31 seconds, and 992 thousandths. That is the fastest lap of the entire Bahrain pre-season test. Nobody, not Norris, not Verstappen, not Russell, got anywhere close. Almost 9/10 of a second over Norris in second, over a full second over Verstappen and Russell, and Leclerc also completed 132 laps. That's a full race distance and then some. But here's the thing you need to understand about testing. Lap times don't always tell the full story. Teams sandbag, they run heavy fuel loads, they manage tyres. So is this time for real? Well, Ferrari have been consistently quick across both tests, not just on single laps. Leclerc also ran a full race simulation at the hottest point of the day on Friday. Hot track, hot tires, heavy fuel, and he was still right up there. That is not sandbagging, that is genuine pace. Now let's address the elephant in the room, or rather the 7-time champion sitting in the garage, Lewis Hamilton, the man who left Mercedes after over a decade of dominance to join Ferrari, the most talked about signing in the sport's history. His best lap of the entire week, a 1 minute 33.408. Leclerc's best, 1 minute 31.992. Now before you cancel Hamilton, let's be fair, Ferrari deliberately chose to run Leclerc all day Friday. Hamilton's running was split across different sessions and different programs. Teams manage how they use their drivers very deliberately in testing, but even accounting for all of that, the gap is significant, and it tells us something important. Right now, at this stage of the 2026 season, Charles Leclerc is Ferrari's weapon. He knows this car, he built it, he has been at Ferrari since 2019, and the SF26 feels like his machine.
Hamilton is still learning. New team, new car, new power unit, completely new regulations. The story of his 2026 season will be how quickly he can close that gap to his teammate. And if pre-season testing is anything to go by, he has got serious work to do. Okay, here's something that is not getting enough attention, and it might be the story of the early 2026 season. Ferrari have figured out race starts in a way that nobody else has, and it is because of a very clever engineering decision made almost a year ago. Here's the background. Under the new 2026 power unit regulations, the MGUH has been removed. Previously, that component helped keep the turbo spinning at the right speed for a clean getaway. Without it, drivers now have to manually spool the turbo up to speed after reaching their grid slot, and that process can take up to 10 seconds. The further back you start, the less time you have to prepare. This has caused a real safety concern. Stalled cars, uneven launches, unpredictable getaways. F1 has even been trialing a new start procedure during the Bahrain test to try and fix it. But Ferrari went and solved the problem themselves. While other manufacturers built larger turbos, Ferrari deliberately designed a smaller turbo for the SF26. Smaller turbo means it spins up faster. Faster spin up means better launches. Better launches means positions gained right off the line. During the end-of-session practice race starts in Bahrain, Ferrari-powered cars were getting rocket ship launches. In one session, Lewis Hamilton started from the 5th row of the grid and led into the first corner, 5th row, into turn 1. First, Ferrari, Haas, and Cadillac, all Ferrari-powered, are all enjoying this benefit. And here's the kicker. Ferrari warned the FIA about this exact issue last year. The FIA didn't act, so Ferrari engineered it. Classic Scuderia Ferrari. If this advantage carries over to Melbourne, and there is every reason to think it will, we could see Ferrari gaining positions every single race weekend just from the standing start. That is absolutely massive. Let's do a quick rundown of where every team appears to be heading into Australia. Ferrari, the team to beat. Fastest single lap. Strong race simulation. Rocket starts. Leclerc is confident and settled. Hamilton is adapting. The SF26 looks like a genuine title contender. Mercedes. Most of the paddock still sees them as the favourites for Melbourne. Their best long-run pace in testing was arguably ahead of Ferrari. Russell was 3/10 off his own best time from Thursday, probably holding back. Antonelli had a rough day but showed real promise earlier in the week. Do not sleep on the Silver Arrows. McLaren. Norris was only 0.879 off Leclerc despite missing massive chunks of track time. The MCL40 looks fast, but Red Bull might be closing in, and Norris cannot afford to fall behind early in his title defense. Red Bull. Verstappen was third, 1.177 off the pace. He himself admitted Red Bull obviously needs more performance. They were seen running corners in a lower gear than ideal, likely a power unit characteristic. Something to watch closely in Australia. Alpine. Pierre Gasly went 5th fastest. Alpine were last overall in 2025. If that time is even half representative, this is a comeback story in the making. Massive if true. Haas, Behrman 6th, Ocon 12th. Ferrari power unit means great starts. Haas could be a genuine points threat on a regular basis this year.
Do you think that Ferrari and Hamilton can be contenders this year?
It was tough, I have to say, watching Lewis in 2025. You know, we were teammates for 3 years. I understand how good he is. So it's really tough to see him struggle with the team, and you could see it in his face how much it was hurting. You kind of forget everything else he's achieved at that moment in time because you just see the pain. But I think with the new regulation changes, we will see Lewis Hamilton back to his best. I really do, because he's going to have input in how the car is designed and have confidence in him taking in a direction that works for him. So I hope to see that. We want to see Ferrari at the front, and we all want to see Lewis fighting at the front again.
Jensen Button just said to the entire Formula One paddock is not just a warning, it is a declaration.
Surprised it probably didn't happen a bit earlier, really, judging by all the things that were going on last year. But it's you kind of something I said on Sky F1 is Lewis needed to go there with a team, so as at least they understood Lewis speak when he's inside the car, what it all means, and to interpret what Lewis really needs behind the wheel. I think he needed some help, so to really flourish there quickly. So let's see who turns up as his engineer now. But just listening to the radio and watching the performance, and although they obviously put a varnish on it, didn't they, through last season, something needed to change. That image of you in the black coat in the square, the Schumacher Square at Ferrari, one of the most iconic photographs ever in Formula One, and what a shot.
Thanks, man. That means a lot coming from you. You don't,
well, I'm not exactly
have too many positive things to always say.
Well, that's not true.
And when you add Martin Brundle's voice to that same message, two men who know what greatness looks like, you have to ask yourself, is the world about to remember just who Lewis Hamilton really is? Lewis Hamilton himself wants to remember. No podiums, 6th in the Drivers' Championship, 156 points. His worst season in 19 years of professional racing. A nightmare in red, by his own words.
And it's an exciting time with this new generation of car as well, because it's all brand new. We're all trying to figure it out on the go. And as where last year we were locked into a car that ultimately I inherited, this is a car that I've been able to be a part of developing on the simulator for the last 10 months, 8 months. And so, like, a bit of my DNA is within it, so I'm more connected to this one for sure.
But here's the thing about the greatest of all time. They don't go quietly. They come back. And right now, every single sign coming out of Bahrain, out of Ferrari's garage, and out of the mouths of the people who know Hamilton best, is screaming that 2026 is different. Jensen Button, world champion, 3-year teammate of Lewis Hamilton at McLaren, has sent a message so clear, so direct, that the entire paddock needs to hear it. And Martin Brundle, one of the most respected voices in Formula One, has backed it up. Stay with us. This is the story of a man the sport thought was finished, and the warning from those closest to him that says, not so fast.
I find it absolutely fascinating that Lewis Hamilton left Mercedes and walked into Ferrari alone. He didn't take anyone with him. And he may have brought Angela, his physio, back. So he had, let's say, someone around him that was a sort of touch point to make him feel comfortable. But every time I left a team, I took an engineer with me. They're your data bank of knowledge. The relationship with your engineer is the most important relationship in the team, because that's the person who fights your corner in terms of new parts coming into the team. That's the person that gives you all information when you're out on track to define what your strategy is going to be, because the strategist can tell you pit now, but if the driver doesn't come in, you're not pitting now. So it's so important, arguably more important than the relationship you have with your partner.
I'm surprised, I mean, it's this is massive for the sport, as Martin already said. If Lewis stayed at Mercedes, it kind of, if they won races next year or didn't win races, it would have been good. But having this shift
to Ferrari is massive. I think it's great for the sport. Everyone's going to have their eyes on Formula One, especially Ferrari and Lewis.
Let's start with what we actually saw, because numbers don't lie. And the Bahrain preseason test told a very specific story. Lewis Hamilton posted the fastest race simulation at the first 2026 Bahrain test. Not third, not second, fastest. The SF26, Ferrari's brand new challenger built under entirely new regulations, was completing full Grand Prix length simulations quicker than any other car on track. And it wasn't just Ferrari saying so. McLaren team boss Andrea Stella, the man whose drivers are the reigning Constructors' champions, looked at his own data and confirmed it publicly. He said that in the race simulation, Hamilton ran on that final day, and comparing it to Kimi Antonelli's effort from Mercedes and Oscar Piastri from his own team, Hamilton and Antonelli were quicker than McLaren. Sky Sports F1's Ted Kravitz went further, saying that Ferrari, with their upgraded front wing, floor and diffuser package introduced on day 2, completed the equivalent of a Bahrain Grand Prix distance faster than anybody else on the grid. And here's the detail that makes it even more interesting. Hamilton's race simulation was faster than Charles Leclerc's, the man who beat him by 86 points last season. Yes, conditions were slightly more favourable, but the direction of travel is undeniable. Ferrari looked quick, and Hamilton looks like himself again. Now let's talk about the warning, because that's exactly what Jensen Button delivered. And he aimed it directly at every team principal, every strategist, every engineer sitting in that paddock. Button was Hamilton's teammate at McLaren for 3 seasons, 2010 to 2012. He raced alongside him, he studied him, he beat him some days. Hamilton beat him most days. Nobody in that paddock understands what Hamilton is capable of better than this man. And here is what Jensen Button said. Pay attention. It's more about whether he has been able to have an impact on the car itself. Jumping into another team against someone that's been there for years is always difficult. But now he's had time with the team, built good relationships, and is hopefully having a lot of input in the direction of the car and how it feels. It's an important year for him. If it doesn't work this year, I don't know if it is going to work again. This is the perfect opportunity for him to turn it around. Jensen Button, Sky Sports F1. That is not just a prediction, that is a warning to the field. Button is essentially saying, Ferrari have done the work, Hamilton has had a year to embed himself, to influence the 2026 car's DNA, to shape it around how he drives. And if that car reflects his input, the 7-time champion will be back. Button also made clear what happens if it doesn't work, suggesting this could be Hamilton's final real shot at competing at the front of Formula One. At 41 years old, with the sport moving into a new era, 2026 is the crossroads. But Button's message was equally powerful for Ferrari. He reminded everyone, it's not been a great few years for Maranello either. 4th in last year's Constructors' Championship. A car that didn't suit Hamilton, and at times didn't fully suit Leclerc either. Ferrari need this as much as Hamilton does, and Button wants to see both of them back where they belong, fighting for wins. The warning has been issued, the paddock has been put on notice, and Button isn't alone. Martin Brundle, the man who has sat in the Sky Sports commentary box for decades, who has watched every twist of Hamilton's career, and who has never been afraid to deliver hard truths, has also spoken. During the 2025 season, at its lowest point, Brundle was brutally honest. He said Hamilton's stats and reputation were not being enhanced. He questioned whether Hamilton still had the skill set to beat Leclerc based on that year's results. He even discussed the possibility of retirement with Nico Rosberg on air. But then 2026 arrived, and Brundle's tone shifted completely. At the depths of Hamilton's 2025 struggle, Brundle wrote that 2026's regulation reset was Hamilton's and Ferrari's only hope. And now that hope is becoming something far more tangible. Earlier, Brundle had made clear his fundamental belief, one that holds regardless of the difficult year. He said directly about Hamilton and Ferrari, "I have no doubt that if Ferrari have a race-winning car or a championship-winning car, then Lewis can win races and even the championship. Martin Brundle, Sky Sports, F1.